What if the radiant, terrifying angels described in the Bible weren't supernatural spirits at all? What if ancient humans witnessed an arrival and recorded it as Holy Scripture? NASA just updated its exoplanet database, pushing the number of worlds in habitable zones past 700. As we look up and wonder if we have neighbors, we have to consider a disruptive question. Have they already been here? Today, we're not pushing pseudoscience. We're treating this as a thought experiment, not a proven fact. We're simply using a scientific lens, separating what the evidence says from what makes for a fascinating story. Could these ancient messengers descending in fiery chariots be extraterrestrial visitors? To find out, we'll dive into Mesopotamian records, the Book of Enoch, and compare them directly with modern UFO reports. Welcome to Ancient Earth Explored channel. If you want to explore mysteries with a logical approach, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support keeps us going. Before we dive into the texts, let's clear up a common misconception. Modern scientific consensus suggests that ancient people used divine will to explain natural phenomena, and the concept of angels is the exact key linking these two worlds. Today, we're going to turn that key and see whether what lies behind the door is a spiritual metaphor or a forgotten idea hidden in ancient history. When you think of angels, you probably picture gentle figures with white wings and soft, serene faces. But open the original biblical texts, and you'll be shocked. The angels described there are luminous beings radiating an intimidating presence, descending in fiery chariots and wheels within wheels. They pass down knowledge to humans, and even mate with human women to spawn giants. Some global catastrophes are even linked to their presence. The word angel originally meant messenger in ancient Greek. They were never just comforting figures who came to bless people. They delivered commands and warnings about the future. What's even stranger, they weren't intangible spirits. They ate, they walked, and they physically interacted with humans. Jacob even wrestled with an angel all night, leaving him with a permanent limp. This is nothing like the angels you grew up with. Even more interesting, the immediate reaction witnesses had upon seeing them was absolute terror. That's why angels always began by saying, "Fear not." Here's the first question. If angels were purely spiritual beings, why did they have such specific physical traits? And why did they terrify humans to the point of collapse? And it's not just the Bible. Ancient civilizations worldwide recorded stories of beings descending from the sky. Mesopotamia's Apkallu taught writing and agriculture. Ancient India described the Vimanas, the flying chariots of the gods. In Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl brought the seeds of civilization. It's like a universal template. Visitors from above bring knowledge, inspire awe, and then quietly depart. You might ask, did all these civilizations coincidentally invent the exact same narrative? Or do these legends conceal a profound experience shared by all of humanity? To unravel this mystery, we must return to the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. Thousands of years before the Bible was written, accounts of divine messengers already existed. On Sumerian clay tablets, we find the Apkallu described as semi-divine figures who survived the Great Flood. According to the records, they were sent by the gods to teach humanity writing, architecture, law, and the foundational elements of civilization. It was as if early humans had suddenly been fast-tracked with knowledge. What's fascinating is how these figures are portrayed. They wear bird-like masks or fish-skinned cloaks, holding mysterious woven baskets and pine-cone-shaped objects in their hands. In the eyes of ancient people, these strange outfits were signs of the divine. But looking at it through a modern lens, don't those bird masks and fish skins look suspiciously like early spacesuits or breathing apparatuses? Could those baskets and pine cones have been advanced technological devices or biological tools? Ancient mythology was essentially the literal reporting of its time. When early humans witnessed technologies far beyond their comprehension, they could only describe them using things they already knew, like birds, fish, and fire. Supporters of the theory argue that this cross-cultural consistency is difficult to ignore. Why did civilizations separated by vast oceans all imagine their gods descending from the sky and carrying out the exact same educational missions? This brings us to a crucial realization. Perhaps the angels of later religious texts are just cultural evolutions of these original ancient visitors. To find more concrete clues, we need to look into a book that was intentionally hidden, the Book of Enoch. This text was excluded from the official biblical canon, deemed an apocryphal text by mainstream theologians. Why was it banned? Because its descriptions of angels were far too specific, and frankly, far too unsettling. The book explicitly details a group of angels called the Watchers. They didn't just stay in the spiritual realm, they broke protocol, descended to Earth, and directly interfered with human evolution. Its contents read almost like an early contact report. The protagonist, Enoch, is mentioned only briefly in Genesis. He walked with God and was taken away. But this book expands his story into an epic. Enoch is taken into the heavens by angels, shown the structure of the cosmos, the hierarchy of angels, and even the storehouses of wind, rain, and lightning. This resembles modern UFO abduction narratives. A person taken off Earth, shown unimaginable sights, and returned with messages. The most astonishing part is the revolt of the Watchers. Angels assigned to watch over humanity rebel, descend to Earth, and mate with human women, producing giant offspring known as the Nephilim. They also teach forbidden knowledge, metalworking, weapon-making, and celestial secrets. To believers of the theory, these stories aren't legends. They're distorted memories of real events. In this interpretation, the Watchers are extraterrestrial visitors. Their hybrid offspring the result of genetic crossbreeding, and the forbidden knowledge a form of alien technology. But here we must underline a critical point. The Book of Enoch is fundamentally Jewish apocalyptic literature, rich in metaphor. The rebellion of angels symbolizes humanity's pursuit of prohibited knowledge, much like the story of Prometheus stealing fire. But consider this, if it were merely metaphor, why is it written with such specificity? Why include detailed accounts of technology and hybrid offspring? Could ancient imagination alone truly invent narratives that align so closely with modern extraterrestrial lore? Even stranger is the fate of the Book of Enoch itself. It was highly influential in early Judaism and early Christianity. Fragments appear among the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the New Testament references it indirectly. Yet it was excluded from the biblical canon, preserved in full only within the Ethiopian tradition. Scholars say the reason is its controversial angelology, but proponents of alternative theories suspect it may have revealed too many inconvenient truths. After the Book of Enoch, the next major text is the Book of Ezekiel in the biblical canon. Perhaps the most controversial piece of evidence. This passage has been hailed by countless UFO researchers as an ancient spacecraft sighting, while theologians interpret it as a symbol of divine glory. During his exile, the prophet Ezekiel recorded a first-hand experience. He saw a storm cloud approaching from the north, filled with fire and brilliant light. Within the cloud were living beings, each with 4 faces and 4 wings. Beside them were wheels within wheels, covered with eyes, able to move in any direction without turning. They emitted a deafening roar. Above the wheels was a crystal-like platform, and upon it sat a radiant figure. Let's translate this into modern terms. If someone living 2,600 years ago witnessed a hovering, maneuverable craft, how would he describe it? He had no words for thrusters, sensors, or engines. He could only use familiar analogies: wheels to represent movement, eyes to represent observation devices, fire to represent illumination, and roaring sound to represent propulsion. It's like asking someone from the Tang dynasty to describe a helicopter. He might say it is an iron bird with spinning wings, thundering as it carries people into the sky. He wouldn't be inventing mythology. He simply lacked the vocabulary. Ezekiel repeatedly insists, "I saw this with my own eyes," struggling to describe it with metaphors of burning coals and roaring waters. It reads like a witness account of something far beyond his frame of reference. This isn't just loose speculation. In the 1970s, a NASA engineer named Joseph Blumrich set out to disprove the idea that Ezekiel saw a spaceship. Blumrich was a top-tier expert. He worked on the Saturn V rocket and designed hardware for the Apollo missions. He approached the text with deep skepticism. But as he analyzed the technical descriptions of the dimensions, the layout, and the propulsion systems, his mind completely changed. He realized that what Ezekiel was describing was highly functional from an engineering standpoint. Blumrich went on to write a book titled The Spaceships of Ezekiel. He even patented a new type of wheel based on the text, an omnidirectional wheel that can move sideways without turning. Today, these are known as mechanism wheels, and they are used in advanced robotics and heavy industry. Think about the implications. A 2,600-year-old prophetic vision contained the precise blueprint for a modern engineering breakthrough. But mainstream scholarship offers a counter-argument. Ezekiel's wheels within wheels were not original. They were inspired by Mesopotamian symbols of the divine chariot. In that cultural context, chariots symbolized authority. The chariot of a god would naturally be more elaborate and wondrous, just as a presidential limousine today is far more advanced than an ordinary car. Ancient depictions of divine vehicles often added multiple wheels and nested designs to signify power. And this is not the only passage with technological overtones. In the Book of Kings, the prophet Elijah is taken up by a chariot of fire. During the Israelites' journey, a pillar of cloud led them by day and a pillar of fire by night. These descriptions involve concrete physical phenomena: flame, smoke, vibration, and movement. Compare this with modern UFO reports. Witnesses often describe glowing objects accompanied by a roaring sound capable of hovering. Doesn't this resemble the biblical chariot of fire, the cloud and the pillar of fire? Now fast forward to the modern era. UFO sightings over the past century, especially abduction accounts, mirror ancient angelic encounters almost like a replica. This is not a forced comparison. There are 5 clear parallels. First, sudden appearance. Angels appear without warning. UFOs also manifest abruptly. In Scripture, people collapse in fear when angels appear. Modern witnesses who awaken to strange beings often find themselves paralyzed with terror. Angels say, "Do not be afraid." Abductees often report calming telepathic messages. Second, light is a constant feature. Angelic appearances radiate divine glory. UFO encounters involve beams of light and luminous craft. To ancient people, this unfamiliar light signified supernatural brilliance. To modern observers, it suggests advanced technology. Third, bodily paralysis. In Scripture, prophets fall to the ground, unable to move. In modern abduction cases, sleep paralysis is a defining feature. Scientists call it a neurological phenomenon, but the cross-temporal similarity raises questions. Fourth, transmission of messages. Angels deliver prophecies and warnings. Non-human entities in UFO accounts often communicate telepathically about humanity's future or environmental catastrophe. In essence, both convey knowledge from beyond. Fifth, life transformation. Those who encounter angels often become prophets. People who report UFO encounters often describe lifelong psychological change, awe, obsession, or spiritual awakening. The most controversial parallel is hybridization. In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers mate with humans. In modern UFO lore, genetic hybrid experiments are also reported. Critics say this reflects cultural anxiety, but the recurring nature of this theme is difficult to dismiss. Here we should insert a scientific explanation. Sleep paralysis. Modern neuroscience shows that during sleep paralysis, people experience vivid hallucinations. This experience is universal across humanity. Ancients interpreted it as angelic visitation. Modern people interpret it as alien abduction. But here's the problem. Some UFO reports occur while fully awake and even involve multiple witnesses. Can such cross-era similarities really be explained as collective hallucination? Faced with so many parallels, mainstream academia still maintains a clear consensus. There is no reliable evidence that angels were extraterrestrials. Here are the 7 major counterarguments. Each point deserves rational consideration. First, the nature of the texts. The Bible and the Book of Enoch are not eyewitness reports, but theological literature shaped by oral tradition. Ezekiel's vision was meant to comfort exiled Israelites, not to document aerial phenomena. It is like writing an essay to express emotion, not a news report to record facts. Second, selective interpretation. Ancient astronaut theories often extract fragments like wheels within wheels or chariots of fire, while ignoring the theological context. For example, the pillar of cloud and pillar of fire symbolize God's presence with Israel, not extraterrestrial navigation devices. Third, symbolic overlap. Fire, smoke, and thunder are universal symbols of overwhelming power. Volcanic eruptions, storms, and natural disasters all display these elements. Ancient people used them to describe the divine because they represented the strongest sensory impact they knew. Fourth, psychological foundations. Carl Jung argued that UFOs are modern myths, projections of the collective unconscious. Angels and extraterrestrials are different masks of the same archetype, visitors from the sky. Just as each era imagines its heroes differently, the core traits remain unchanged. Fifth, lack of evidence. No archaeological artifact demonstrates extraterrestrial visitation. The pyramids and Stonehenge, though astonishing, can be explained through human ingenuity and cooperation. Sixth, cultural underestimation. Ancient astronaut theories often underestimate ancient human intelligence, assuming humans could not build pyramids without extraterrestrial instruction. In fact, Mesopotamian priests precisely tracked planetary motion, and ancient Egyptians calculated the Nile's flood cycles. These were achievements of human inquiry. Seventh, category error. Angels in religion belong to metaphysics. Extraterrestrials, if they exist, are biological entities. Asking whether angels are aliens is like comparing apples to oranges. Mainstream scholars also warn that reducing profound metaphysical encounters to mere physical visitations strips these historic texts of their ethical, moral, and existential significance. Instead of pointing outward to spaceships, they suggest the stories are meant to turn human attention inward. Discovering alien life wouldn't break faith at all. If a creator made the cosmos, then life on other worlds is simply another chapter of creation. Angels operate in the spiritual realm. Aliens would operate in the biological realm. The two can easily coexist. But the most mind-bending insight comes from Arthur C. Clarke. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. To a human living thousands of years ago, a flying craft delivering a message would be nothing less than a divine chariot, and a being wielding godlike knowledge. An angel, plain and simple. Yet the hypothesis refuses to die. Why? Because it taps into one of humanity's deepest desires, the belief that we are not alone. Angels might not be extraterrestrial pilots, but they do embody humanity's gut intuition, a sense of something that transcends dimensions. The universe is unimaginably vast. If higher intelligences exist beyond human perception, how would they register to us? Maybe we'd call them angels. Maybe we'd call them aliens. Or maybe they're something we don't yet have the words to describe. What do you think? Were the angels of antiquity just misidentified natural phenomena, spiritual visions, or actual flesh and blood visitors? Drop your theories in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And remember to subscribe for more deep cosmic dives. Keep your eyes on the stars and stay curious. Goodbye.